Welcome, Lara. Welcome to the Aforza Insights podcast, live from Brewdog's London Waterloo. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great stuff, great stuff. Well, look, let's get cracking. And today we're focusing on yourself as a new hire at Aforza. And just to take a step back, Aforza is a company completely dedicated to the consumer products industry. And we're ever so excited to have you join the company. We really look for individuals with backgrounds in the industry like yourself or those with CRM experience. So to have you join is fantastic. And really what we're going to cover in the session today is get to know you, get to know why you've joined Aforza, get your early experiences, and really we'll take a look back as well and what you know now of Aforza, you know, how you'd apply that at the companies that you've come from. So maybe let's start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the introduction. So as I said, I'm Lara Giles. Just moved over from Australia to London to start work at Aforza. I come from a consumer goods background working at the Arnott's Group in Australia. So across a variety of roles there in demand planning, a little bit of finance, and then lastly into IT implementation. So I guess on the flip side of the Aforza experience. And yeah, I have had some exposure to the Aforza tool and was really interested by it. So when I was moving over to London, was excited to get into touch with some of the team and get on board.
Fantastic. And how are you finding the weather?
It's cold, but it's been blue sky. So I think as long as the sky stays blue, then there's not too much to complain about. I think when the rain starts, it might be a little bit more tricky.
Excellent, excellent. Tell us a little bit about Arnott's Group. What's their focus, the categories they're in?
So Arnott's Group is a major player in the grocery space in Australia. They do biscuits and snacking. They also have a Campbell's soup portfolio legacy from when they were owned by Campbell's US. So their most famous product is the Tim Tam. I think Boris Johnson even used it as a bit of an asset when they did the trade deal with Australia. So definitely a household staple in most Australian cupboards, but probably a bit less well known overseas.
Gotcha. Excellent. And it was at Arnott's that you first discovered Aforza and you got exposed to us as a company.
It was. So as I said, I was sort of part of the IT implementations team, and Aforza actually came up in one of our RFI processes. So unfortunately, wasn't working with them in the Arnott's Group, but was really impressed by the tool. So as I said, when I had the opportunity to come over to London, reached out to some of the team, and here we are.
Fantastic, fantastic. And how have your first couple of weeks been at Aforza?
They've been really good. The team's been so lovely. I think I can definitely tell it's going to be a fast-paced job, but it's been really lovely seeing how the team sort of pulls together. There's a really nice sense of it's not my job or their job, but when something needs to get done, everyone just chips in and makes it happen. So that's really good. And I think also coming from such a large business in Arnott's, working in a team that's quite small is really lovely. It feels like you'll get a lot of hands-on and get right into it straight away.
Excellent, excellent. And so what have you been up to in your first couple of weeks?
It's mainly been induction and onboarding, which has been really good. I think sometimes when you start at a smaller place, you're not sure if you'll just be sort of thrown into the deep end and having just to sort of learn as you go, but it's actually been a really structured approach. So being able to do some really good learning and induction sessions with the teams and also training on the system. So obviously have the consumer goods background, but not so much on Salesforce. It's been really good to be able to get under the hood of the capabilities in that tool.
Excellent. I mean, from my perspective, one of the things I love about Aforza is the people and just really feel like you're working with friends, people on a mission. And what have your first impressions been there?
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of as I said, it's really nice to be working in quite a small team because I think you get to know everybody straight away. I think working at Arnott's, I remember the first months I would be walking through the office and there'd be people that I just didn't recognise or didn't know, but it was really nice to sort of meet the whole team straight up, and everyone's been super lovely, sort of from anywhere between showing us how to use the tool and talking about the different clients we have to also giving some tips on restaurants and places to go, especially being a newbie in London. So the team's been really lovely.
Excellent. A bit of a funny story as well. I think you were telling me last week that you found out that one of our employees was just 3 or 4 doors down from you.
Yeah, right? Just completely crazy. Just coincidence on our way to work. I think it was my second or third day. I'd met the other employee the day before and sort of just walked in and I was like, hey, hold on. I saw you yesterday. So yeah, it's funny how it can be such a big place, but also such a small place at the same time.
Absolutely. Good stuff. And then, you talked about the induction and getting closer to the product. So, what's your first impressions been on that side of things, and anything that really stands out to you?
I think the part that really stands out, and I think that's Forza's sort of, I guess, specialty and what makes them really unique is the sort of retail execution connectability with TPM. We in the Arnott's Group had a really fabulous field team, was always recognised with awards for being one of the best in Australia. But sometimes it felt in corporate, it was hard to see sort of what was going on in the ground. And when you've got that really valuable resource, it feels like such a shame to not be able to take insights from it. So I think the way that Forza really brings those two worlds together is something that has really stood out for me, and I think could provide a lot of value to businesses really quickly.
Yeah, it's great. It's funny you actually say that point. We do a lot of work with the Promotion Optimization Institute, and we take part in their panoramas every year. And actually, there used to be or last year there was a REX, or Retail Execution, and a TPM panorama. They were two separate things. But even this year, we've just been told that they're merging the two reports. They're bringing them together because everybody, wants to look at this holistically and bring it together. And I think it's, the fact you called it out and noticed it, but it's also being seen from an industry advisor perspective as well, I think really stands out.
Yeah, it's really easy to do promotions and get locked into promotional activities because you've done it before, because you're working with big customers who sort of just expect year on year the same plan. But when you actually can't analyse why a promotion is going well or maybe not going so well, it's really good to have those extra bits of the puzzle to paint the picture and then I guess be able to make better decisions from there.
Absolutely. And then what about the look and feel? I mean, I know you said that stands out, but you like the look and feel of the product?
Oh yeah,
what does
absolutely.
that mean? Coming from Arnott's, what would that mean to the users there?
Oh, it's just streets ahead. I think having that intuitive user experience takes away the thought about the manual process. I think if it's really clunky to use a tool, then you're spending a lot of time thinking about it's clunky using the tool. When the tool's easy to use, you've got time to actually think about what you're doing, why you're doing it. Is this actually helping the business or being able to promote a better outcome? So I think when you can kind of reduce those barriers in terms of the use of the tool, it unlocks a lot more time and capability to actually think about what you're doing. So that for me stood out. And I think even when I met Forza at Arnott's, definitely stood out as one of their really strong points, being just look and feel really easy to use. And I guess being built on the Salesforce platform helps with that too.
Fantastic. And so you excited to get out there and start implementing the Forza and get to meet customers? I bet after your induction, that's where you're really going to be focusing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even reminiscing on time at Arnott's, I think I get a lot of energy from helping other people, and I'm really looking forward to getting to that stage in a project where you've delivered a tool and you kind of get feedback from your customers saying, oh, this has changed my world. I've figured out something that I didn't know before, or this used to take me so long to do and now I can do it really quickly. So I think I'm really looking forward to getting to that sort of end stage. I know there'll be lots of ups and downs and complexity between the start and the end, but I think when you can see that tangible benefit at the end, it really helps to put everything in perspective.
Absolutely. And I think you just touched on some points there, but coming from industry, you have a really interesting perspective. And if you were to give advice to a consumer products company now looking at solutions, what you know of Forza and what you know of other solutions, are there any key points that really stand out to you that you'd call out?
I think one thing that can be an easy trap to fall into is thinking that the software will be a silver bullet when you just implement it, that if you don't think about your internal processes or the way that your business is running, that the solution will be a one-stop shop and you'll just be sorted. So I think that's where it seems like Forza takes a really good amount of time to get to know the customer, how they do business, understand what they're trying to achieve, and then fit the tool to that. And it's great that the tool's got the flexibility to sort of cater for anyone between, your more emerging markets up into your more developed markets, and then their needs will be different. So I think that's something that really stands out. And also building that trust. I think bringing in a new platform can be really hard. The consumer goods industry is one that is typically, I hate to say it, but can be set in their ways. They've been around for a really long time, so there's a way that they do it, and that might not necessarily be the best way. So I think taking that time to really get to know the objectives helps to build the trust with the customer. And say, hey, I know this is different from what you're doing, but I've been in your shoes and I understand the pain. and this is really going to change your world. So come on the journey with us. And I think, yeah, building that relationship and that rapport really makes it a lot easier to get that across the line.
Fantastic. Fantastic insights there. And, you know, on that point of insights, I think people listen to these podcasts because they want takeaways, they want to learn something. And I've got a question for you. If you were to, you know, go back 6 months to a year and reverse yourself to the old you at Arnott's, looking at a Forza as to what you know now, any advice that you'd give the old you or the team there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that would really have stood out is to look at the TPM solution and the retail execution tool in combination. I know that when we're at Arnott's, we're really focused on a TPM solution, which was a burning platform for our business.
Sure.
But I think having seen what I've seen now and all of the extra insights you can get on the analysis and evaluation side, being able to have the retail execution and the TPM working together would just unlock a lot of value. So I think that would be some advice to potentially look at more holistically at sort of what you can achieve from using both of the tools.
Fantastic. I think it's a great takeaway, not just for, you know, your role at Arnott's, but for anyone in the industry listening. So thank you very much. Well, with that, I just want to say a huge thank you, and also just thank you for joining as well. You know, not just for the podcast, but it's great to have you here. I think your collective kind of front office and CRM experience with your industry experience is exactly what makes a Forza special and unique. So it's great to have you. And I know I speak for the whole company when I say that. So great to have you on board. Thank you everybody for listening, for joining us for today's podcast. I'd say if you like what you've heard today, then we've got plenty more like this. So make sure you subscribe to our channel. And until next time. Thanks, Lara.
Thanks so much for having me.